far beyond the bustling hubs of the Galactic Council, in a dim corner of the universe where few dared to look. A star system lay quietly forgotten. In the shadow of dying stars and drifting debris, a cluster of massive, silent ships rested in cold orbit, their hulls scarred and worn by time. These vessels were relics from humanity's long past, remnants of a time when Earth was still young in space and fighting desperately to survive against threats that no one remembered anymore. Generations had passed, and the galaxy had changed. New empires rose and fell. Fleets grew sleek and deadly, and human ships were dismissed as little more than floating museums. The Council's records labeled them obsolete, a word that burned like an insult in the hearts of those who still believed in humanity's hidden strength. Deep inside one of these aging ships, hidden behind layers of metal and dust, a faint pulse flickered, a signal stirring a long, silent machine. An ancient AI designed to keep the ship ready in case of emergency suddenly flickered to life after centuries of sleep. Its systems scanned the dark void, detecting strange energy fluctuations from a distant star. The awakening sent a ripple through the entire forgotten fleet. One by one, dormant ships powered up, their lights piercing the blackness like stars coming back to life. Far away, sensors aboard Council patrol ships blinked, picking up the unusual readings, but their commanders shrugged it off. Old tech acting up, they said, uninterested and confident that no threat could come from these rusty shells. But they were wrong. From within the largest ship, a command bridge long abandoned buzzed softly, lights glowing on control panels and ancient consoles blinking back to life. In cryogenic chambers, figures stirred, human explorers and soldiers who had slept for centuries, preserved by emergency systems designed to protect the fleet in case of a catastrophe. One by one, they awoke, their eyes adjusting to the dim light as memories and instincts returned. Among them was Captain Elara Knox, a woman of sharp mind and steady will who had once led missions into the unknown, now emerging from the deep silence of time with a single purpose: to protect what remained of humanity and reclaim their place among the stars. The fleet's sudden revival did not go unnoticed for long. Alien emissaries in the Council grew uneasy as reports arrived of strange signals and ships moving where none should. Some called it a malfunction. Others whispered of an old human threat resurfacing. But the humans inside the forgotten fleet were far from the relics the galaxy thought they were. Their ships, though aged on the outside, carried hidden technologies and secrets kept by generations of engineers and scientists who refused to let their knowledge die. Systems that could cloak the fleet in shadows. Engines that could bend space more efficiently than any modern design, and weapons adapted from ancient blueprints lay dormant, ready to be unleashed. Elara and her crew worked quickly, repairing systems and reactivating communications, all while watching the growing tension in nearby star lanes. The galaxy was on edge, unsure what this sudden human awakening meant, but for the humans, it was a chance to prove that even in an age of seeming extinction, their spirit had not died. Outside the fleet, the vast emptiness of space seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for the story to unfold. Unknown to all, this forgotten fleet would soon challenge the mighty empires of the stars and remind everyone that in the silence of space, the past can suddenly roar back to life. With engines humming softly and the first starships breaking their long slumber, the day humanity unveiled their forgotten fleet had begun, and with it, A new chapter in the struggle for survival and dominance among the stars. As the ancient human fleet stirred to life, the stars outside seemed colder, darker, as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for what would come next. Captain Alara Knox stood on the bridge of the flagship, her eyes scanning the starfield through thick, scratched glass, feeling a strange mix of hope and danger. The humans were outnumbered and outgunned in this vast galaxy where empires stretched their claws across light years of space. But the fleet's sudden awakening was like a spark in the void, small, unexpected, but full of power. The ships, once dismissed as relics, began to move with a purpose. Crews worked tirelessly to repair damaged engines and restore long-dormant systems, their fingers tracing over ancient control panels and consoles that glowed faintly with hidden life. In the silence between the stars, an old but deadly rhythm grew stronger. The hum of reactors, the pulse of shields, the steady beat of weapons coming online. These ships were more than just old hulls. Beneath their worn armor lay secrets that other species had never imagined. The aliens of the Council had always believed that humanity's technology was crude, stuck in the past, and incapable of standing up to modern fleets. Yet Alara knew differently. Years before, a small team of engineers had worked in secret, embedding clever upgrades and hidden features deep within these ships' features, designed to be discovered only when the time was right. It was a safety measure born from the fear that humans might one day face extinction, but also a promise that they would never give up. The first test came suddenly. A small scouting fleet from the Council, sleek and deadly, approached the human system. Their commanders expected to find empty space, a forgotten graveyard of ships with no threat. Instead, they found the human fleet rising like a shadow from the depths. The moment of contact crackled with tension. Sensors on the human flagship caught the alien ships moving in, their weapons locked and ready. Alara gave the order to prepare for engagement, but she also urged caution. Humans would not fight blindly. Instead, the fleet slipped into a formation that seemed strange, awkward even, to the enemy, but was carefully designed to use their ship's unique abilities to the fullest. The Council ships opened fire, lasers cutting through space with deadly precision, but the human vessels responded with maneuvers never before seen in modern space combat. They dodged and weaved with surprising agility, using unexpected bursts of speed and shifting their shapes with modular technology that could reconfigure shields and weapons in real time. The Council commanders were stunned. They had never seen anything like it. Despite their old appearance, the human ship struck back fiercely. Hidden energy weapons emerged from secret compartments, releasing bursts of power that disabled enemy engines and scrambled their senses. The humans fought with a kind of reckless bravery, knowing their survival depended on more than just technology. It depended on their will and creativity. After a tense battle that lasted mere minutes but felt like hours, the alien ships withdrew, leaving behind a stunned silence. Word of the encounter spread like wildfire across Council space. Many dismissed it as a fluke, a lucky break for humans, but others began to worry. What if the humans were not just relics, but something more? Something dangerous. Inside the human fleet, morale soared. The crews knew this was only the beginning. Alara gathered her officers and spoke with quiet determination, reminding them that the galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. Their ships may have looked old, but their minds were sharp and their hearts unyielding. They would show the universe that the human spirit could turn even the most obsolete machines into instruments of power. Beyond the immediate battle, the humans began to scan the nearby regions, searching for allies and secrets that might help them survive the coming storm. Minor species, often overlooked or oppressed by larger empires, heard whispers of the human fleet's return. Some sent cautious messages, curious to see if these humans were the legends they claimed to be. Others prepared to either flee or fight. Alara knew the path ahead was dangerous and uncertain, but the spark they had ignited in the void could grow into a blaze that would light their way through the darkness. The galaxy was changing, and humanity was no longer forgotten. In the quiet moments between action, Elora stood once more at the bridge's viewport, watching the stars and wondering what challenges awaited them. The forgotten fleet had awakened, but the story of their rise was just beginning, and somewhere out there, across the endless night, new dangers were already stirring, watching, waiting for the humans to make their next move. The race through the dangerous star cluster had started with tension thick enough to slice through with a blade, as the alien commanders stared down the humans with disbelief and disdain, expecting an easy victory over what they still called obsolete ships. But Captain Alara Knox and her crew had been ready for this moment, having spent countless hours preparing their ships not just to survive, but to thrive under pressure, as the course twisted through asteroid fields thick with debris from forgotten battles and hidden gravitational anomalies that threatened to tear lesser fleets apart. The aliens pushed their sleek vessels to top speed, confident that their advanced sensors and weapons would give them the edge. Yet as the ships hurtled forward, the humans showed a new kind of power that no one had predicted, with modular hulls shifting shape like living organisms, changing shield patterns, rerouting energy to engines when needed and redirecting firepower instantly, making them appear as ghosts on the battlefield, sometimes too fast to catch, other times hard to see, and always unpredictable. Alora's fleet moved not as a rigid formation, but as a flowing entity, adapting to every hazard, every trap, weaving through the star cluster's dangerous passages with a grace born of deep knowledge and countless simulations. And as the alien commanders struggled to keep up, they realized that the humans had more tricks hidden beneath their worn metal, secrets that came from years of silent engineering and quiet innovation, from a time when survival was a daily battle on a fragile Earth and where every inch of technology was tested to its limits. Then came the moment that changed everything at the narrowest point of the race, where the cluster's gravity wells created deadly distortions in space-time. The humans activated their secret weapon ships that could instantly reconfigure their internal systems to shift from offense to defense, or even split and recombine parts of themselves, a process impossible for other fleets to mimic, leaving the aliens scrambling as their weapons faltered against shields that shifted shape mid-fight and engines that bent space around them, allowing the humans to slip through barriers that no one thought possible. With the fleet's true power unveiled, the aliens found themselves forced to retreat, their pride bruised and their confidence shattered. But Elara knew this was just the beginning of a new game where survival would depend on more than brute strength. It would require cunning unity and the willingness to challenge every expectation. Amid the chaos, smaller species watching the race from the shadows sent messages of hope and alliance, sensing that humanity's return might change the balance of power forever. And as the last light of the race's final stretch approached, Alara stood firm on her bridge, eyes steady, heart beating with the knowledge that this victory was a promise that humans were no longer the forgotten species, but a force to be reckoned with, and that the stars themselves were ready. to listen to their roar. The human fleet glided deeper into the star cluster, a maze of swirling asteroids and invisible dangers that had already claimed the lives of many who dared challenge its hazards. But Captain Alara Knox and her crew moved with steady confidence, their obsolete-looking ships hiding secrets that the galaxy had never expected. Beneath the worn hulls, layers of hidden technology lay waiting to be unleashed, tools crafted from centuries of human determination and survival instinct, designs that mixed old-school resilience with new-age adaptability. The alien fleets that surrounded them moved with sharp, precise movements, their sleek ships built for power and speed, yet often lacking the subtle flexibility that humans had honed. As the race through this treacherous space continued, Alara watched the enemy commanders with cool eyes, knowing full well their arrogance would be their downfall. At first, the aliens pushed hard, testing the limits of their ships and weapons, firing powerful beams that cut through asteroids and space dust alike, hoping to intimidate or disable the obsolete human vessels. But time after time, the humans dodged, twisting their ships in ways the aliens did not anticipate using. Quick bursts of energy and tactical maneuvers that confused even the most experienced alien pilots. The secret was in the fleet's ability to change. The ships, built modularly, could shift components on the fly, swapping out weapon types, altering shield configurations, and even adjusting their propulsion systems mid-flight. This technology was kept hidden for centuries, preserved by human engineers who knew one day their fleet would need to surprise the galaxy. As the aliens fired, expecting easy hits, their weapons met with sudden, shifting shields that bent and warped energy in unexpected directions, reflecting some of the blasts back toward the attackers, causing confusion and damage. Engines flared as humans darted through gravitational anomalies, riding waves of warped space that gave them bursts of speed. The aliens could not understand how such outdated ships could perform so well in a race that required both brains and brawn. Alara's voice was calm but firm as she issued orders, her mind sharp with every decision. "Prepare for reconfiguration sequence," she commanded, and across the fleet, machines hummed and clanked softly as hull plates slid open, revealing concealed weapon bays and energy conduits. Suddenly, the fleet transformed guns that had looked like nothing more than old cannons turned into powerful laser arrays. Energy cannons charged rapidly, and shields became thicker, capable of absorbing far more damage. This was the moment when the true power of humanity showed itself, and the aliens realized with shock and fear that they had underestimated their opponent deeply. The alien commanders scrambled, their ships faltering as they tried to counter this unexpected assault. But humans had more than just hardware, they had strategy, born from centuries of fighting against overwhelming odds. Alara's fleet moved as one, coordinated and flexible, able to change formation and tactics instantly, keeping the aliens off balance. Using signals encrypted in ways no alien codebreaker could decipher, human ships communicated silently, sharing data on enemy movements and environmental hazards. The race quickly turned from a simple test of speed to a complex battle of wits and skill. One by one, alien ships fell behind or suffered damage, while human vessels pressed forward, weaving through the cluster's dangers with increasing confidence. At the edge of the star cluster, the final challenge awaited, a field of dense asteroids orbiting a dying star, where navigation errors could mean destruction. The aliens tried to force the humans into traps, using their superior numbers to block paths and threaten ambush. But Alara was prepared. She had planned for this moment, knowing the terrain better than anyone. She ordered some ships to split off, acting as decoys to draw enemy fire and distract, while the main fleet used the cluster's gravitational waves to slingshot themselves past dangerous zones at breakneck speed. The human ships twisted and turned like sea creatures, slipping through cracks in space others could not see or reach. The aliens' frustration grew. Their advanced sensors and weapons were rendered useless against such adaptability. Panic rippled through their ranks. Alara seized the moment. With a voice steady but filled with resolve, she commanded the activation of the fleet's most guarded secret, a system known only to a few, the adaptive core. This core allowed ships to repair and reconfigure themselves rapidly, healing damage and shifting layouts even while under fire. It was a marvel of engineering, blending human creativity with practicality. As the adaptive cores activated, human ships glowed with renewed energy. Hull breaches sealed, engines roared back to life, and weapons recalibrated. The aliens watched helplessly as their chances to win slipped away. The fleet surged forward, their unity and power unmatched. But Alara knew victory was not just about technology. It was about trust and courage. She inspired her crew with calm leadership, reminding them of humanity's long journey and the importance of this moment. As the race neared its end, the humans crossed the finish line ahead, battered but unbroken, their obsolete ships now symbols of evolution and hope. The Council and alien empires had to face the truth. The humans had unveiled a power that was not only in machines, but in their hearts and minds, a power that would change the galaxy forever. The human fleet, once dismissed as a collection of obsolete relics, now sailed proudly through the vastness of space, their lights bright against the dark canvas of the stars, signaling a new era where humanity was no longer a forgotten shadow, but a force rising to claim its rightful place in the galaxy. Captain Alara Knox stood on the bridge of the flagship, eyes sharp and steady, knowing that this moment was both a victory and the beginning of a far greater challenge, as other species, long used to holding power, watched with growing unease the return of a civilization they thought extinguished. The galaxy was a web of alliances and rivalries, and with the unveiling of the humans' true strength, old enemies stirred and new alliances formed in secret, while whispers of the forgotten fleet spread among star systems, inspiring hope in some and fear in others. And though the humans had won the first battles, the road ahead was uncertain and dangerous. Alara understood this deeply as she planned the next moves, knowing that dominance required more than firepower. It required diplomacy, strategy, and the ability to inspire those around them. With the fleet repaired and upgraded through their secret technologies, humans began sending envoys to minor species oppressed by the great empires, offering alliances based on respect and mutual survival, a sharp contrast to the condescension they had suffered for centuries. Slowly, the human influence spread like a spark igniting dry tinder, as small colonies and independent systems chose to stand with the rising power, drawn not only by strength but by the promise of freedom and cooperation. But not all welcomed this change. Major empires, threatened by the growing human presence, sent fleets to confront and intimidate, leading to tense standoffs that tested Alara's calm and resolve. In the heart of the void, battles flared with laser fire and engine roars, yet humans fought with a unique blend of old-school grit and new-age tactics, always ready to adapt, evade, and strike when least expected. Their obsolete ships now legendary for their deadly effectiveness. As the battle continued, Elora's crew uncovered ancient technologies hidden on forgotten planets, artifacts from humanity's past, forgotten weapons and devices that could shift the balance of power, giving the humans unexpected advantages that none of the empires could match. With each victory, humanity's confidence grew, but so did the weight of responsibility. They were no longer survivors clinging to the edges of space, but leaders shaping the future of many species, and Elora carried this burden with humility and strength. Political intrigue simmered within the council and among the empires, as diplomats scrambled to understand the humans' true intentions and capabilities, some secretly seeking peace, others preparing for all-out war. Yet despite the threats, the humans remained united, bound by a shared past and a vision of a galaxy where their people could thrive. Without fear, Elora's leadership became a symbol of hope and determination, her decisions wise and measured, inspiring loyalty and courage throughout the fleet. In quiet moments aboard the flagship, often gazed at the stars, remembering the long journey from forgotten relics to champions of the stars, knowing that their dominance was not just a matter of power, but of proving to the galaxy that humanity's spirit could never be broken. As new challenges arose, mysterious signals from uncharted space, ancient enemies awakening, and the shifting tides of interstellar politics, the humans prepared for what lay ahead, ready to defend their place with every ounce of strength and ingenuity they possessed. The stars no longer belonged to the empires alone. Humanity had returned, and with the unveiling of their true power, they were determined to dominate the stars and carve out a future worthy of their enduring spirit and courage.